Let me wish everyone a Shabbat Shalom, a Bruchim Habayim. Welcome those who come in the name of the Lord, especially on this first Shabbat of the month of Nisan, the month of Passover, of Pesach, the holiday where we celebrate going from slavery to freedom. And when we look at the month of Nisan, we have to try and understand, or we're supposed to teach, leading up towards Passover. And right now, we just started the book of Vayikra, the book of Leviticus. And of course, we know in the book of Genesis, we see the creation of the world. The world's created in 6 days, and the seventh day God rested, and everything which comes from there, the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the matriarchs, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. We get to the book of Exodus, where, of course, it's the Exodus from slavery to freedom, where we have the story of the plagues, the crossing of the Red Sea, the receiving of the Torah, and the children about to go on the cuspis of entering the land of Israel. And then we get to the book of Vayikra. Vayikra is a book of rituals, laws, and customs. It would seem like a very boring book after the first two. However, it is probably the most central and most important because it teaches us how to build a society before the children of Israel enter the land of Israel. Because if they went straight from slavery, from being slaves, to being free and responsible for others in their own state without an intermediary period, they would know nothing but how to rule as slave masters, just as it was in Egypt. So this is really the most essential book, and it's called Vayikra, and it's called, they are called, and we cannot take for granted the importance of this book because, once again, it is the first book or the first verse that all children learn. So getting back to it being the month of Nisan and learning and being called to learn, I'd like to take and teach a little now, connecting it all together. The beginning of learning, the new month of Nisan, where we are as individuals and a community, and how we can put all this into perspective with the coronavirus which is going on at this time. So when we look at Passover, we know of the 4 glasses. There's 4 cups of wine. And as we drink more, we get a little happier, or we get a little more light-spirited, but in essence, that is not what is supposed to happen. That's what happens when you drink alcohol, but the 4 cups are actually supposed to signify something very deep and very important. The first cup, and it comes from a verse, it says, say to the children, or 2 verses, say to the children of Israel, I am God, and I shall take you out from under the burdens of Egypt. I shall rescue you from the service. I shall redeem you with an outstretched arm and with great judgment, and I shall take you to me as a nation, and I shall be God to you. The first one is V'hitzalti, I shall save you, which is the Midrash is coming and telling us that God decided that he would save the children of Israel because they did not speak Lashon Hara, which is evil tongue or gossip. I think without doubt we would be able to save more of society today if we were kinder to each other, and instead of playing the blame game, he's at fault, she's at fault, he should have done something, she should have done something, it's terrible. Maybe if we talked a little more nicely and united, we would deserve to be saved at this time. Is it possible, and I think it completely is, that we're in the midst of the coronavirus, not on a medical terms, but on an emotional and psychological terms? It's getting worse because we are acting in a negative manner one to the other. So I would say, as we are about to understand and eventually hold up that first cup, do we as a society deserve to be saved? The second is V'hotzeti, I shall take you out. Now, what does it mean that I shall take you out? It means I will physically separate you from others. You're taking someone out, you're separating them. We are separating ourselves today. We are sheltering in place. We are stay-at-home y'all. We are staying in our own homes and not venturing out. Is the fact that we are doing this and we are listening, is God going to physically separate us from the virus? I believe that, as the medical experts are telling us, that this is the case. So on one hand, we have one cup, which I'm not so sure that God is saving us because we're not saving ourselves in terms of how we act towards others. But on the other hand, on the other side of the scale of justice, the fact that we are worrying about others, we are staying home, we are not venturing out, we are implementing social distancing. Maybe this is God will take us out of the pandemic that we are in at this moment. And the third is V'ga'alti, I shall redeem you. Now, what does it redeem you means? It says the Jewish people were redeemed because they kept their names at that point. They did not take on Egyptian names. They kept their own heritage. What is the heritage of humanity that we need to keep at this time? Is it the golden rule of loving thy neighbor as I love thyself? Is it the fulfilling of mitzvot, of morals and commandments between ourselves and God, and between ourselves and our fellow man? Or is it all of us? Will we only be redeemed when we redeem ourselves? In essence, we can say that there is a partnership between ourselves and God. Remember, Vayikra, the Aleph in the end, the last letter, is small. It's small because we are anashim, we are people. And there is only one Aleph which is greater and capitalized, and that is Adonai, God. So only with we who are anashim, when we are ready to be redeemed because we are working together, will the big Aleph, Adonai, come and redeem us. And the final expression is V'lekachti etchem li la'am. I shall take to you to me as a nation. It implies a connection. So I ask myself, in this connection between God and man, I ask myself on a societal basis today, are we ready to be taken? Are we ready to take responsibility one for the other? Are we ready to be saved? Are we saving one another by how we act, by how we share, but even more importantly, by how we care? And the third is, I shall redeem you. Are we as a nation remaining united? The children of Israel kept their names. Are we keeping our values? Are we keeping our values of that in the Bible Belt? Are we keeping our values as a nation? Are we coming together under united we stand? Or are we divided and we are falling? And the final one is, I shall take you to me as a nation. It would seem to me that today we are not necessarily one nation under God. We are different groups with different interests. And we cannot be saved from a pandemic that is a silent enemy, a silent killer who does not recognize different groups or different interests. It just attacks those who are weak, or those who have been in crowds, or those who don't have immunity, or for the number of different reasons. But if we come together as a nation to solve these problems, then we will be worthy of being united, not only among ourselves, but united with God. So I ask myself once again, on this book of Vayikra, on this book of being called, and on this upcoming holiday and month of freedom? Are we going to continue to be slaves to our self-interests? Are we going to continue to be slaves to pettiness and divisiveness? Or are we going to go to freedom by coming together? Are we going to come to freedom by beating the coronavirus? And are we going to go to freedom by being one nation under God? I would say that with this we also need to write our own 4 cups. A cup of awakening to that which is happening among us. To the second being to solidarity and the importance that it is among us. The third, to taking action to help one another in times of need. And please know that we here in the synagogue are here for you in times not only of celebration, but in times of need as well. And the fourth is the same, the freedom. The freedom to go back to life as we know it and as it was. There may be a new reality after the coronavirus, but that new reality should be based upon the old value of unity. May this Shabbat, may this month, may this upcoming holiday bring us freedom, bring us life, and bring us shalom, peace. Shabbat shalom.